Okay, welcome back. I am here for the next video. I'm hoping this one won't turn out as long, but I can't promise anything. Okay, this one had just hit me too, after the other one hit me to do. So this one, it's just about time and our use of time. I don't have a list of Bible verses. There's so many things, that refer to this kind of thing in the Bible that would be too long. So I'm just going to kind of fly by the seat of my pants here. Oh, not pants, my skirt. Okay, so yeah, this is a relevant topic in the times we're in because this was not a problem back in the day, okay? Like being good stewards over our time, basically, because people, they were, back in the olden days, and I'm not that old, but I know, like, let's take days when, 100 years ago or more, they were busy. I mean, they were being productive all the time. They had no choice. Maybe they had a farm or, whatever their work was. Women stayed home and raised their kids, and it's a busy job, okay? People were busy, all right? And they didn't have all the modern conveniences that they do now. So they had to do a lot of things from scratch, by hand, all that kind of thing. So they didn't exactly have a lot of spare time on their hands. But as things got more advanced with technology, and so, of course, today in modern times, it's totally different, You just throw something in a machine and the laundry is done, all that. So anything is easy like that. So people have more time, and for various reasons, there are any number of reasons why this could be the case. But what I'm seeing is people doing all kinds of things with their time that it's a total waste of time. Now, um, a perfect example is the use of technology itself. Like when they'll be doing things like going on the internet, and it's good to go on the internet. I mean, you find out all kinds of things on the internet, and it's great, of course. I mean, I have a channel on the internet, so I'm not saying it's not a good idea, but um, there are good uses for this, of course. And there are great conveniences too, all kinds of things. Email is very convenient, stuff like that. But you can look up things. It's like an encyclopedia, anything in the world that you can think of to look up. But there are all kinds of benefits to the internet. But many people, they are not good stewards over their time, and they will use things in the wrong way. Now, of course, you can get into the whole like, oh, they're on the internet and they're accessing something that's, it's a sexual sin. I'm not going to, some people don't use that word. There must be a reason for it on here, so I'm not going to use that word. But anything like that, they're doing, of course, that's a sin, and that's an extreme example. But even if they're not doing that, there's so many, even without it being an actual sin, like there's so many things they do that are a waste of time. It's either on the cell phone or their laptop or whatever kind of device they have. It's a total waste of time. And one thing is social media, of course. They'll be scrolling around social media and putting things up themselves. And I mean, this whole thing is a waste of time. Whenever I tell people, no, I'm not on Facebook or anything, I mean, I did set up a page for this channel. I didn't know if I was going to need it or not, but I don't think I've honestly been there. I mean, you have to kind of now be on it to look at other things, and once in a while I have to do that because maybe a place doesn't have a website, they only have a Facebook page, and I want to look up something. So it's really just convenience for that kind of access, but I'm not like on there in a social way. So that's it. But I'm not technically on there. Like I don't have a page where I post pictures of, oh, look at my cute little grandkids and da 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 da, and all the things they do. They're just always like showing off, and just competing is what I've heard. They're competing with everybody, and it's just that kind of thing. So whenever people ask me and I tell them, oh no, I'm not on there, and I kind of say it in a way like I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, and then they always get real defensive. Oh, well, I'm just on there because I want to stay in touch with my family, and I don't say anything at that point. I think, okay, they're just in that place. I don't want to irritate them any further. But I think, well, why can't you just keep in touch with your family in a real kind of way, like the old fashioned thing? You actually see them, or if you can't, talk to them on the telephone. Now, there's an idea, you know. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do this, but it's just about, okay, one picture here and one picture there. Well, yeah, I can mail you a picture. I mean, I would prefer that myself. I don't have offspring, but if I did, I would rather they just mail me a picture. Or I can take the picture when I see them too, hang it up, put it in my album, the old-fashioned way. Okay, so I'm not saying you can't have a Facebook page or else. I'm just saying, like, they get obsessed with these things, and that's their excuse. It's just, oh, well, that's how I keep in touch and stay in the know. And maybe they are doing that. And if that's really it, and what I said, stuff like that, okay. But most people, okay, in reality, okay, most people, they are just, addicted. It's an obsession, it's an addiction, and once they're there, they can't get away. So that's what I've heard. I honestly, like, I don't have that problem. I don't have those problems. So I don't know, but that's what I hear. So it's a bad use of time, all that stuff. And then another one is games on the computer. All these computer games I have heard of, and that's an addiction. And these people will get so hooked in, they don't eat for a day, or that kind of thing. I mean, this is a problem, and even if it's not that intense, but they spend a lot of time playing these games. And I have seen it, where I would be at a job and I'd be productively working, and everybody would be like playing a game on their cell phone. And then they'd get a certain number of points, and you'd hear little music, and it's whoop-de-doo, and I'm like, what is this going to matter in the scheme of eternity? Nothing, absolutely nothing. It's gone, it's lost time, it's a waste of time, you'll never get it back, and it means absolutely nothing in the scheme of the universe. You have gained nothing, you have done nothing for humanity, you have done nothing for yourself even. You've probably harmed yourself by sitting there for a long period of time. I mean, it's a point in cyberspace. Whoop-de-doo. Okay? I mean, it is bad. With that one, it's bad. And then you get the ones that they get into gambling and they actually lose money on things. I have heard of so many crazy things. Anyway, I mean, yeah. Then, so there's stuff on the internet online that is a waste of time like that. And then you get, oh, and a lot of the videos now, the channels, by the way, are turning into AI generated content. So many of those are not even authentic. It's not a real person telling you their real story, okay? It's a waste of time too. And it's all for social conditioning. If you watch a certain thing, go to the page that tells you stuff about the channel and see if it says anything. Because many times it'll say it's AI content, okay? So, the whole time you thought this was your best friend. And it's nothing but that, okay? So, that's another thing. So it's getting more that way now. So just a warning about that. Um, then that's why people's uh, watch time is going down, that kind of thing. Their views are going down. They're slowly shifting it into that stuff, as they are in other like workplaces as well. Okay, it's a thing. So just be aware, right? So there's that. But then people otherwise even have so many ways of wasting time in their lives. They'll sit there watching television for hours. Aside from being programmed by the ways of the world and against the ways of God, which does happen with that, if you're even are awake, you'll notice it. But and if you know the Bible, you'll notice the contrast. But they will waste so much time anyway, even if it was good stuff. It's a waste to do that much of it. And then secular music, of course, I've talked about that. But there's so many things. It's a complete waste of time. And they sit there and they're, just getting more unhealthy by the minute doing these things. So there's more, but those are just some examples of things that are a complete waste of time. And I think, time we get in life, we're never going to get it back. And we don't know when our last day of life is. These people that die suddenly for something, they didn't think that was going to be their last day. Most of the time, they're not thinking that way. So we shouldn't take anything for granted. And as Christians, God expects us to be good stewards over everything He's given us, which includes time. So we need to be doing productive things with the time we're given. And that can be a lot of things, okay? But as long as, we're taking this into account, okay? So I'm going to go down a list of things that I do, at least now. But everybody's life is different. Everybody, we have different situations. We can't all do the same things. Some people have physical disabilities and they can only do so much, or they can't do much at all. So, of course, we have to consider these things. But, these are just some examples. Like, it's so important. And of course, people who work, there's that. Okay, I'm just saying, aside from that, like our spare time. So I don't mean the things we have to do, like, okay, we have to take showers and we have to clean or something. All that is obvious. But aside from that, just the free time we have, like, what do we do? And I'm not saying we have to be busy bees and we can never enjoy anything. No, enjoyment is part of it. That's a blessing we're given by God. And it's just, what do we do for enjoyment? So I'll go down the list. Some of the things that, like, I absolutely love to do for enjoyment is enjoy nature. And God made nature. Yeah, He made the whole, creation. So everything in nature is included in that. And I there are different things. Some people are really into like animals and going out and watching animals and in their habitat. And yeah, it's not my thing. But um, I just love nature in the sense of like taking a walk, enjoying trees, enjoying all the flowers in spring, the smell after the rain, just, you know, different types of bodies of water, just at a river or a lake or something like that. I mean, it's so enjoyable and it's so relaxing. And that's something God made for us to enjoy. It's a blessing that we're kind of expected to enjoy. And it's unfortunate that so many people totally neglect that and they choose something else instead, like social media. Anyway, but nature, enjoying that, enjoying a beautiful morning on a lovely day, going for a walk. And what happens, not only are you enjoying life, but you're getting more physically fit, you're getting healthier. It's healthy. And when you do this for about half an hour, you what happens is there's these little things called endorphins, and they're released, and you get a natural high. It's like they're stored in your body until then it's released, and then you get this moment of euphoria, and it's just like, oh, how wonderful life can be. Anyway, so it's all healthy, it's all natural. Go out and smell the flowers, feel the sunshine on you. It's healthy. You get a vitamin from that. Um, and then when it's really warm, I go for a swim, and that's one of the healthiest form of exercise to do is swimming, because there's no friction on your body, of any kind. You're just floating around, but you're moving your body. So the healthiest is swimming. Walking would be next. You're not causing damage when you swim. Walking is next, as long as you don't pound your feet on the ground or something. But, just take good strides, and, it's good for your breathing, it's good for your circulation, all that kind of thing. It's so healthy to do. And so, again, there's no friction. There are a lot of things people do. They cause a lot of friction, like even bike riding. I know some people who did a lot of bike riding, and they literally wore out their hip joint from all the pedaling. So you have to be careful with those kinds of things that are more physical, more sporty. Like if you play tennis and your shoulders and your elbows are always in that motion, things like that, or other more intensive sports, like they call it, I guess, high contact sports. They're slamming into each other. I mean, you get injuries literally from doing that. Some people never come out the same from that. So that is better to be avoided. But just some nice physical activity that's good for your body is what I recommend. So there's that. And then you get all kinds of things like hobbies. Okay. I mean, I had a long list of hobbies I've been into over life, but I mean, you can do something you totally enjoy, and like painting, it's not a waste of time. I mean, you're doing artwork and you're creating something beautiful, and it's a reflection of something created. Even you're being creative, but you're reflecting something created. And if you do writing, you can incorporate things from the Bible that way too. I mean, there's so many hobbies you can do that are just part of the creative expression of being human, but some of them can even be used as a good work. For instance, if you're into needlework or knitting, crocheting, any of that, you can make all kinds of things to give away. And one example would be, and this is a whole ministry, like you can make blankets for, it could be children, it could be babies, it could be, if that's around your area, like orphanages or hospitals with sick kids, or homeless shelters, something like that, where this would be a blessing. And, there are other things, that's just one example, but you can make things to give away like that in a charity kind of way. And, anybody can think, oh, well, anybody can just go out down to the store and buy a baby blanket. Yeah, but not just anybody can crochet a baby blanket with 1,000 meshes in it. Okay, and there's something special about that. And, you're doing this out of love, and it's like, it's a good work. It's a fruit in that way. It's like from the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to do a deed of charity. And so you want to bless somebody and who's really in need, and you're showing them the love of Jesus, and you're being a good example of, you know, the power of the gospel at work in your life to transform us into people who do good works. So all that and more is in there. So there's so many good things like that that people can do, what you can be doing. Some are maybe more for women, some might be more for men. Like if you're a man, one thing is handyman work. You can do handyman work in the same kinds of places like orphanages, homeless shelters. Just volunteer to offer your services of help, so they don't have to hire somebody. Maybe if they're hurting for finances, it would just be a way to serve the Lord in any way like this. There's so many examples, but that's just, they're just some right there, of course. And at the same time, the thing can be a hobby. It doesn't have to be only a volunteer work kind of thing. It can be a hobby, like I said, with the needlework. Maybe you make quilts or something, and you can give those away that way. That kind of thing. And this is something of a pastime that Christians have done for centuries. I mean, and me as well. So it's just one of those things. But in today's day, these are all skills that are being lost in the modern world. The next generations are not picking up these things, and that's not good. But anyway, so there's so many things like that that can be done in that kind of way. Anyway, another thing is like healthy and being productive would be cooking, like learning how to really cook from scratch and make food that's really healthy and delicious at the same time. And it's really a good thing. It'll save you money too, but it's just good in so many ways to do that. That's a great hobby. And it's, all these things are a work of art and a hobby, and can be good for you or others. It can be a charity act as well. So, it's just a very good practical thing to do. So, there's so many endless things, but if we just think, is this productive in some way? Is it edifying in some way? You know, um, like devotional time, of course, that kind of thing. You can be sharing the gospel, you can be making a video like this. There's so many things we could rather be doing than wasting our time on something totally meaningless. There's a long list on both sides of the fence here. So, we just have to think about it. And if you're one of the ones that's really shy about sharing the gospel, there are so many ways, creative ways, this can also be done. Well, one, and it's pretty common, is just the gospel tract, and you can make your own. And if you don't know, that would be a great exercise and great use of your time, is to learn what would actually go in one of these. Um, you know, and then, like, this is what I do, I'll tell you, but I have a printer, many people do, and you just design them. That's another skill, is word processing. You can type and know how to do these things, and then, um, you know, you can even go to the Bible on the internet, cut and paste the things, the Bible verses, and put them in. You can design it, you can be creative with that. And then you print them out, you make a bunch of copies, and you can distribute them in many different ways. That's a way to spread the gospel. And if somebody starts talking to you, you can talk to them about it. It's kind of an icebreaker, and at least you know what to say. So you need to know what to put in there. And if you don't know, then here's what you got to do. Go over to my video. I think it's number 16. There's a 16 and a 19. So I'm pretty sure it's 16, and you can just use that to copy off of for a guideline of what to put on a gospel tract. Um, Certain points, it doesn't have to be real long. I wouldn't make it real long, maybe 10. And I just put Bible verses that deal with getting saved. So that's in that video. So go check that out. But just type in number 16 and it'll say something gospel, salvation. So anyway, that's something you can do. I mean, we need to be doing things to serve God, not just sitting in an easy chair all our lives. So there are many things. So we just need to make a good use of our time with these things. So that's the point of this. I know there's one person I know as an example, a bad example. Okay. I knew her, well, I still know her, but she, claims to be a Christian, and I'm not saying whatever, who knows. Okay. And she knew I'm a Christian, and we would talk about those things. And then we knew, okay, then there was a situation where a new person was going to be entering her life. And it looked like this new person was not a Christian. And she said something hopeful, or I did, or both of us, about, oh, well, maybe you can, get her in. So, talk to her little by little, that kind of thing. And then, okay, and at one point, I wanted to make sure she was really squared away on that. So she's not real on the ball with things. So I kind of, and I thought this is good for her too. I sat down and I kind of, wanted to go over a bullet point list. So what if she would even ask you how you get saved? Like, what's the gospel? What do I need to know or do? What would you say to her? What would you tell her? Just to kind of prepare her so she can get ready and have a list and not be caught like a deer in the headlights if this happens, because that's what we would want to have happen. Anyway, so I asked her that question, and she just kind of was like the deer in the headlights, right? This one, right then and there. And I'm like, what? After all this talk for years, and she doesn't know what the gospel is, to tell me what it is. Like, how can you even be saved is the question in my mind. So you can't really, but I mean, she has issues, she's forgetful. So I don't know if it just was slipping back somewhere, but if you don't know how to share it, that's a problem. So she says one thing, which is true, but that was all she said. And it wasn't the part about Jesus dying for you, even. That's the most basic thing, people will include. But she didn't even get to that. She didn't even say that. And I'm like, okay, the thing she had said. And I said, okay. And then, and it was like, I don't know. Well, you better know. You need to know. We got to do this now so you will know. So I kind of coaxed her through the whole thing. Yes, Jesus died for our sins. He rose from the dead. That's crucial. It's not just, it's a two-part thing there. You need it all. Okay. Um, you know, you need to repent, but you need to accept this. It's by grace through faith. It's not by works. Through this, we're born again. It's the one and only way to be saved. You surrender and you get the Holy Spirit, and you have to commit to Him. It's not just a one-way street. So all of that, and I just did this at the drop of a hat. I hadn't looked at anything, for a long time. That's what you need to be able to do. All right. Tell them this and walk them through this. And, there are all kinds of verses you can use, and some will include this detail or that detail. And, you know, John 3:16 is good. Chapter 3 in general is good. Talks about being born again. You have, all these things. You get the Holy Spirit. All of this. But, you have to tell them these things. You have to know these things. You can't just have no answer, and that's it. The Bible says you have to have an answer for people about this, so it's necessary. But anyway, so she didn't know, and I helped her. I walked her through. I don't know where it went, but anyway, it's a critical thing, and that is scary when people don't know. So start there. If you haven't done this yet, that's the first thing you got to do. Start there, iron this out, and make little gospel tracks that will help you remember, okay? And you'll be ready. And, you can even read it with them. Then, if you forgot a detail, okay, I'm not going to leave that out. I'm reading it with them. And then you give it to them, okay? So that's one thing. Anyway, there's so many things we can do with the time we're given. And yes, I'm talking about spare time. If you have kids, that's an endless list of things to do with them. But okay, that would be another 10 videos right there. So I think that's all I'm going to say about this for now. Now I want to get to the last topic of this video, the last item here. It's another thing. I didn't even want to put it in the title, but part of one of my ministries, okay, is I keep watch over what's going on in the church world and what dangers are coming in, what heresies are coming in, and what wolves are promoting these, but the heresy is even more important to know about that, because anybody can spout it, so and I've been doing that for a long time, and I promote channels that also share things about this. There's another scandal that came out with another church and a fraud, that's been going on, and that's just recent. So I don't want to get into all that. It's out there. If you look at the channels I've shared, you'll probably know all about it. But anyway, okay. So, but there are things that are obvious, and then there are things that are more subtle. Okay, so I have noticed just lately, like over the last few months, or less even, something real sneaky and subtle that's been slithering its way in. And most people didn't really notice this because they don't know the Bible, and they don't know how to rightly divide the Bible, okay? Well, this one, I've been all of a sudden it's showing up, it shows up here, it shows up there. This person promotes it, that person, and okay, I'll get to it, don't worry. But I just like, whoa, this isn't just one guy's, how you'll run into this, like a video, and some guy will have some really off the wall interpretation of something in the Bible, and it's totally crazy. It's just totally in outer space. And oh, okay, yeah, he just, I don't know, he had something weird in his drink when he got that interpretation out of this. It's totally not biblical or whatever, and you just, okay, that's out, and you move on. But it'll just be here one different thing there, random stuff. But this is stuff it's that crazy, but it's just coming in from different directions, and it's the same heresy. And then I know something's up. Okay, this is a pattern. This isn't just one random guy on a weird rabbit trail. Okay, this is something they're pushing and trying to infiltrate the church with. Okay, so and it started when I first noticed it, when I was watching one video. So I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to give you a popcorn trail. I was watching a channel. It's called A Minute to Midnight. And midnight is spelled Nite. And it's just like all one word in lowercase. Okay, this was maybe a month ago or so. And I had never noticed anything weird over there. He just talks about the end times and stuff, or news, Anyway, well, he has a guest speaker on this time that I've never seen there before. And this guy gets in outer space, left field, with some kind of interpretation of things in the Bible that's totally off to the point of being heretical, okay? And some of the stuff he's talking about, like, they are misapplying things, and I'll get to it. But then I think this guy's just out there, all right. And I left a comment correcting that, for whatever good that did, and that was it. Well, okay, then I find the same thing somewhere else, and somewhere else, and somewhere else, and so I'm like, okay, this is a thing now that they're pushing in, So I have done my little combat thing, here and there where I saw this, but I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be the next heresy wave. And people don't even notice it, And so then I won't go over every place. I don't even remember every place I ran into it, but then I'm watching this other channel I watch called Pellegrino Walk. And it's a good channel. Another good one is the Magical Mystery Church. She had a good one out, I think, the other day. It's called Channel Update, but it looks like nothing. And I think she does that on purpose because it had something. Boy, it had a lot of somethings that were really interesting. You might want to watch that. Anyway, so on his one, and he, I can see it, like he sees things, but he doesn't see the whole thing yet, Well, anyway, he's talking about stuff he's seen. Him and his wife were involved in a heretical branch of church, like all that Seven Mountain Mandate, NAR, kind of Latter Rain, all those names, that kind of stuff. And then they saw the light and came out of it. So they know the background on that real well. And he said he started noticing something recent coming up over there, where there was a lot of focus on a certain thing about going up, he says, up to a certain, I'm just going to say a country in the Middle East that's at the Mediterranean, and joining in certain ways, okay? So if you can put the dots together, you'll know what I'm saying, okay? So anyway, he's talking about this, these people are talking about that, and he's exposing it. And that was another puzzle piece, but putting all this together, basically what it is it's another hijacking. And I did videos not too long ago, the ones with Snow White, kind of that stuff. It's that kind of thing in a whole other way. And I'm sure they'll have all kinds of ways of trying to, they misinterpret things, and they want to steal away stuff that's for us and give it to them in your mind. They can't literally do this, but in your mind, take your identity away and give it to them. They want to, like things in the millennium that apply to us, they want to give it to them. Things about the new covenant, they say the same thing about that. And a list of things, they want to take it away from us and give it to them in your mind, theologically, okay? And it's a whole bag, a whole set of heresy right there. And if people are not careful, they'll get swept into that. And it's another part of that whole putting that thing on a pedestal as an idol. And so many in the church have done this already. It's not a new thing, but they find new ways of doing this, of misinterpreting and twisting things and doing this. And if you don't bless these people, then God will curse you, and won't be blessed, and you'll be cursed, and this and that and the other thing. It's all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, this is a whole new avenue of this, okay? So as I'm saying, and then that's what they want to do, take it and give it over there. And it doesn't work that way, because that's not reality. But if they can convince you in your mind, you will bow to the idol and you won't question it. See? So they are coming with all kinds of slowly but surely little laws about certain things. You can't say this, you can't say that, it's this, it's anti whatever, that kind of thing. And I'm not talking about the regular thing that you could say is a racist comment about that group, okay? It's stuff that has nothing to do, it's just because maybe you believe a certain thing, they will slap that label on it. And that's where this is going. Okay, I've warned about things before, but this kind of thing. And so that's where it's all going. It's all headed in that direction. And so many people, they don't really see it. They don't want to see it. They think it's exaggerating, and they don't really get it, Then there's all this talk about a theological term that uses the word, it's a, theology, and it uses the word replacement in it, in the phrase, okay? And they'll go on all day and night about that. But, but this is that in reverse, and that they have no problem with, see? And I mean, there are all kinds of perspectives on this. There are people who believe it's this way or that way, or God is all done with that group, or he isn't. Okay, I've made videos, that's out there. I'm not going over all that again. But, it's a balanced perspective. But if you have a different view, that's okay. Nobody can tell you daren't not have that view. So, or we're going to lock you up, Well, anyway, so this is going to that extreme of replacing things in the opposite direction. They want to take it away from the church and give it to this other people, and it doesn't apply to them. It's not theirs, it's ours, and nobody can take it away. But if they can convince you of this, they'll have deceived you, and you'll go along with the whole deceptive movement. So it's heading in that direction. You know, it really is. I see it more and more all the time. And I've warned about these things here and there. You know, I say it in a certain way, of course. And there was a time, you know, somebody once told me about that kind of thing. And oh, it was like over a decade ago. And I waved it off too. I thought, oh, come on, I didn't see a sign of it anywhere, you know. Well, that's changed, you know, especially the last few years, that has changed. So it's heading there more and faster too. So yeah, it's a thing, and I warn about it, but many people either don't see it, or they really don't know enough about it, or they don't want to see it. So that's uh, the problem many times. So it's very sneaky, and it's going to be very easy to deceive people with this. So you really have to know your Bible. You really have to know how to divide the word like it says correctly, rightly divide, and know what's the New Testament, what the New Testament church looks like, what the new covenant is, how it applies, okay, versus being under the law in the old covenant. That's done, okay. They will come with all kinds of other stuff, and I've seen all kinds of other stuff, but this is the latest of that flavor. So just want to warn you about that. It's a biggie, okay. It's a big deal. This isn't just a little nothing, it's a big deal. So I just want to put that out there, warn about that. It's the latest thing I've seen. So all I can do is warn here. That's it. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say about that. Say it. I don't want to go into all the explicit details, if you know what I mean and why, okay, with that wording, okay. You just have to connect the dots here. So, yeah, that's it. Okay, so I talked about that. That might, I think that was all I was going to say, okay, for this video. So I did that. Now, what I'm going to do is I don't have any videos planned coming up, but that can change. But again, for sure, I will go over the the stuff I'm going to do around Easter, and that's going to be probably 2 weeks worth of material, like one video a day at least. So I'll be getting ready for that, and I do have some things coming up now till then, so I will be occupied. So that's just life, but that's going to be happening. So at least I'll be back before Holy Week for this stuff. So I'm just saying, like until then. So don't worry. I'm not. I didn't run away. I didn't throw in the towel. Okay. It's just going to be a little while until then, and I'm going to be getting ready for that as well, to have all the stuff ready to go. So, and then I'll do that for sure. Okay, unless the world ends before then, I'll do that. Okay. So, with that said, I hope you are well, and I wish you blessings, and leave a comment and let me know how you're doing and what's been going on in your neck of the woods, and anything new you feel like sharing. And that's it for now. So I'll be back, okay? All right, read the Bible, and God bless you.